Can I ask a question before we start, Leftside?
Yeah, sure.
About Brexit. The Parliament voted to take control of the agenda, correct?
Yeah.
So, the last time that happened was like 100 years ago? Or over 100 years ago?
I'm not sure actually, but it's rare.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. They didn't say when, but it's been over a century. It's like, holy shit. Like, if they went through World War II without doing that, that says something.
Yeah. I mean, I know the big reason it happened is because the Conservatives don't have a majority in Parliament. They can't agree on anything anyway.
Yeah, because
so they can't.
They coalition with the Liberal Democrats, right?
No, that was 2010 to 15. The Lib Dems are completely irrelevant now. It's now they have a confidence and supply deal with the DUP.
Oh, yeah, it's DUP.
Yeah, so...
But the DUP is pro-Remain, right?
No, they're pro-Brexit, but because they're a Northern Irish party, they're very much on a soft Brexit side because they don't want a hard border in Northern Ireland.
Yeah, they don't want a hard border with the rest of Ireland, but and a lot of the Tories are pro-Remain. The Northern Democrat conservative type party.
Okay.
Northern
Democratic Unionists.
Yeah. They're pretty much conservatives, just Northern Ireland, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
There's some differences from what I've seen, but I paid attention in the last UK general election, so I tried to do some research on the parties.
That was an interesting election. That was.
Yeah, the last snap election was what I paid attention to. Oh my god, man, that was just a clusterfuck and a half.
That was pretty fucked. Yeah, that didn't really go well for anyone.
No, it was 2017, right?
Yeah,
no, it was 28. Yeah, 20. Something like that.
2017.
Okay.
But we have local elections every year as well. So.
You still working with Labour?
What?
You still volunteer for Labour, right?
Oh yeah. We got some local elections on the 5th of May. So yeah, we got a.
I'd say good luck, but I fucking hate all of the parties there. So.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like the Conservatives and Labour both kind of fallen in the polls recently because of the whole like
Brexit shit.
UKIP will rise again.
No, but you know.
That's a good fucking joke, man.
Yeah, I mean, when Nigel Farage leaves the party for it being too right wing, I think you have a problem.
Did he rejoin the Conservatives?
Oh no, he started his own party. He started the Brexit Party, which is just quite funny.
Of course he did.
So he's off doing that.
Is he still really irrelevant?
Oh yeah, but he still gets news time because of course he does.
I mean, he hasn't been relevant since the referendum, really.
No, not really. But then he keeps on like.
From what he was saying, right around the referendum, he was wanting to step away from everything after it passed and after everything was finalized. So who knows?
Yeah. Barry Cincinnati. Someone. All right, you guys want to start?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, we're already rolling.
Okay, cool. So
good.
I'll just include all that.
Who wants to do the intro then?
Ba-da-da-da-da-da! Welcome to We the People Political Debate. We are having... Is that good enough?
Yeah, that's good enough. We're good.
You're fucking gay. Cut that out, please. Don't keep that one.
You had me at dun-dun-dun-dun.
Alright, let's actually go.
Alright, go. So, what did you want to talk about today?
So, I want to talk about Brexit first, since we've got Leftside for 10 to 15 minutes. Because he's a loser and has a social life.
Yeah, sorry guys.
So recently, the British Parliament voted to take control of the agenda-setting process from the Prime Minister, and 3 of her cabinet members have resigned from her cabinet in order to go back to Parliament and vote against her in said referendum. Or not referendum, the law, whatever you want to call it.
Indicative vote.
Yeah, indicative vote. Thank you. That's non-binding, but they're having a non-binding vote over what path they want to go down, or just recently had it. Anyway, I brought Leftside on here to talk about how rare that is and what that means for Brexit and post-Brexit politics. So what do you think about this whole scenario?
I mean, it's kind of... I know it's rare and everything, this Parliament taking control of stuff, but I think it was probably to be expected from the outset.
To be fair to May. to be fair to May, she was never pro-Brexit, so she kind of got stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Well, yeah, but some of the language she's using would indicate that she's very much more sympathetic to the Leave kind of cause rather than the Remainborn. But that's kind of an issue in and of itself. But the reason that Parliament really took control is because May, she tried 3 times to get her deal through, and each time it was just squashed. I mean, most of her own MPs voted against it. I think the first time they tried to get it through, it lost by a supermajority, which is
2/3?
unbelievable. Something, yeah, I think it is 2/3. Yeah, which is unheard of for a governing party. So the fact that that the government could not get anything through for love nor money really meant that Parliament had to kind of step in and say, okay, well, we're going to now table some suggestions to Parliament and see if we can get some compromise through. Because if you can get a deal with a majority, or an idea at least, whether that be a no-deal Brexit or a second referendum or something in the middle, then that's preferable rather than just having the government go in circles and having the deal rejected over and over and over again.
And do you think that there's any way that they can have a deal before the no-deal deadline? And what day is that again? It's coming up soon, right?
Very quickly.
Yeah, it's like a week away.
Well, I think what's going to happen is rather than getting a deal by then, I do think there'll be another extension, probably to the 30th of June. I think that's what the UK government are looking for, but EU members aren't too keen on that. In any case, I do think there'll be another extension.
Well, Germany kind of wants to teach them a lesson and say this is what happens if you try and leave. We're not going to deal with you. You're gonna have to figure this basically, and they're not gonna. I don't think the Germans are going to give them a deal. And in reality, if the Germans say no, it's going to be really hard to get a deal from the EU.
Well, the thing is, we've got a deal that the EU have agreed to. The only problem is that deal is absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it's basically no deal, right?
Well, exactly, except a bit worse in that, we still have to pay kind of EU subsidies for a certain amount of time afterwards. And this is why Theresa May's deal keeps on being rejected. So there is a deal from the EU. It's just there's no way that's getting through the UK Parliament. So it's kind of stuck in limbo at the moment.
I mean, I really think that they're giving them that deal in order to force a no deadline. A no deal deadline, because if you give them a deal that's worse than no deal, they're never going to accept it. And that will show them, like the Eastern Europeans, that this is what happens if you want to leave, and the Italians, what happens if you want to leave.
Well, I think that's. I mean, I'm very hardline Remain, as you could probably guess anyway. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the issues when you leave the EU are genuinely a hassle, not just for the sake of it, but because that's how borders, the single market, the customs union work. If you expect to leave those things, then of course there's going to be some serious issues. I mean, the whole issue around Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland being, a perfect example. We've got the UK that says, okay, we don't want a hard border, but logistically, in terms of EU law, that's just not possible. So it's not the EU necessarily being difficult or anything, although you could certainly argue that case in some regards, but it's more just the legality of everything. It's very, very difficult to get any compromise through where all parties are kind of happy.
I mean, the common border is really one of the major reasons that the split. I mean, not the split, but the troubles in Northern Ireland was resolved peacefully because, you can move freely to and from both sides.
Did they
engage in business in both sides?
Did they not do the same for Gibraltar as well?
Yeah, Gibraltar's the other issue, yeah. I think, because the Spanish were saying the issue of Gibraltar was quite a sticking point, but I think the Spanish were saying they wouldn't accept an extension either purely because of that. I mean, Spain want to take Gibraltar anyway and have them for a while.
Is Gibraltar still important to the UK, like commercially at all?
Well, I mean, it means we get control of the Gibraltar Strait, which means we have
I didn't know if
sort of
that's still
control over
important
trading.
with air
Not
travel. and all
really.
that.
I mean, not really. I think it's more of the issue. It's the same with the Falklands. It's not so much that it's necessarily strategically important in any way. It's more just the fact that there's an indigenous population there that does
That's
identify as British, and well, yeah, it's British. So, the whole idea of sovereignty, handing that over to another country, is not just something that a country doesn't really want to do on principle, but would genuinely just not be popular anyway. So
I think there's also oil
it's
near
definitely
the
a prestige
Falklands.
issue.
I think there's also
What
oil
was that?
near the Falklands.
Well, Gibraltar's been British since
probably.
what, 1700s?
Yeah, something like that. It's been
10 or something like that, if I'm mistaken.
yeah. I mean, it's been in British hands for a very, very long time, and I don't think there's really an appetite to secede from the UK anyway.
And also, while we have you here, Leftside, how do you think the European political scene and markets look post-Brexit?
Well, the political scene is quite interesting. I mean, you've got in Germany at the moment, you've got the Green Party actually making some pretty interesting gains in opinion polls. I think they're polling at about 20% at the moment, which is really unheard of for a party like that. But that's in Germany, which is obviously a Eurocentric hub. In countries such in Eastern Europe, you've got the rise of a lot of right-wing populist parties, but that's been going on for a while now anyway.
Real quick question, do you think they'll get encouraged by a no-deal Brexit, or kind of their enthusiasm dampened by a no-deal Brexit?
What, the European nations or
The Eastern
UK?
European nations, like the populist parties.
Well, I think that a lot of the Eastern European countries, even though they have quite Eurosceptic governments, I don't think they actually really want to leave. And pure reason for that is because they get so much from the EU.
Yeah, it'd be
after
economic suicide.
Yes,
I think the main issue in terms of the Eastern European populations is, or as far as they're concerned, is immigration. But I think that's kind of misplaced. So I mean, in terms of what a no-deal Brexit would do for them, I think it might encourage them slightly to say, look at what the EU's doing. It's tyrannous. It's terrible. Blah blah blah, whatever. But in terms of actually an appetite to leave the EU, I don't think that's there. I think they just want to kind of milk the EU as much as they can, so long as they're in it.
They're going to push it in a more European direction, not a more international direction.
It's difficult. I think that the Eastern European countries at the moment do purely on convenience need to be looking in a more European direction anyway, especially the ones that are in the EU or in the kind of European single market.
I meant more of like a white European like nationalist standpoint, like a globalization standpoint. That's what that's the point I was trying to make. Sorry.
Oh, okay, I see. Well, no, I mean those issues have sort of been there since when they were in the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, where it was incredibly nationalistic, it was incredibly kind of racially pure in the sense that it was a very white, very everyone was very working class. Everyone seemed to be in the same kind of struggle together. And I think what you're seeing as they assimilate into more westernized culture, that shift comes a little bit more agitated away. So there's always going to be resistance to it. So I think in terms of Brexit, they're going to be looking at that saying, okay, if even the British are looking at immigration in a negative way, then surely we must be as well. So I think it'll just kind of encourage these kind of tensions further.
Yeah.
Boost those parties.
But you don't think they'll leave?
No, I can't.
That's what I was just curious. I was going to say, I was thinking they might before Brexit really happened, but since Brexit's really hurting the UK, I don't think they will. I think they've seen how economically bad it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why in the UK as well, you've got so many people pushing for this second referendum, because you can. I think the argument against it is classically, of course, well, in 2016 we voted to leave. That should be the end
the people already spoke.
But the counter argument to that, of course, would be, well, look at where it's got us now.
Wasn't turnout also below 50%? in the 2016 referendum?
The turnout was 72%. However, the margin it was 52 to 48. So it was very close anyway. The Leave campaign broke many laws in terms of campaign financing. They flat out lied, saying we'll give £350 million per week to the NHS for the money we'll save in the EU. We'll actually lose £550 million a week net if we leave the EU. So,
damn.
You've got to look at that campaign in terms of the number of false pretenses there were, and say, okay, perhaps a revote, now that we've got the evidence, now that we've seen what's happened, perhaps a revote is actually relevant. And if they vote leave again, then so be it. But I think if there was a second referendum...
Leftside, quick question.
Yeah, go on.
Say the UK does leave, all right? Do you think other countries like Greece or Italy end up leaving as well?
Well, Greece certainly not, because they are so reliant on the Eurozone after their crash. But in terms of Italy, who of course had the 5-star movement in power at the moment, who are very Eurosceptic.
And Forza Italia is their northern Italian nationalist, right?
Yes, Forza Italia, 5-star movement. I think there's the Democratic Party in opposition, but they lost a bunch of votes in the last election. I really don't know the Italian political situation enough. I think it's possible.
Do you think there's enough outcry in some of the other European nations for some of the smaller ones to leave? We know that Germany and France aren't going anywhere. Most likely Spain and Poland aren't going anywhere either. But say some of the smaller nations.
Well, the problem with a lot of the smaller nations is even though they typically have fairly right-wing governments and are typically quite Eurosceptic, it goes back to the whole Eastern Europe argument. Exactly, the economics is just far too beneficial for them to leave, so they kind of have to put up with kind of the other laws, the immigration laws, the tariff laws.
Yeah, they
have to put up with that because the net gain they're getting, as with every European country really, such as the nature of the single market and the EU, the benefits are really just slightly outweighed by the negatives in a lot of these cases. So it just wouldn't be viable for them.
I have a quick comment about Italy. I know enough about Italian politics to say that it exit, or whatever you want to call it, is possible. I don't know enough to say how possible though. But like, there's enough of a leave sentiment in Italy that it could happen in the next decade or so, for sure.
Well, I know there was a lot of outcries, like especially right after Brexit happened. There was a lot of people in Italy, or at least there was a lot of talk about it. Let's say that.
Well, it's easy to say we want it too as soon as it happens, but when you see the negatives, it's a lot easier to say never mind.
So I think
Brexit really was the great European experiment in that regard, wasn't it? But anyway, sorry, go on.
And I have a quick question for you, Leftside. Would the UK government allow a second referendum, and would the EU allow a second referendum, knowing what's happened since with the campaign finance law violations?
The EU certainly would. The EU wants the UK to stay, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's one of the big ways we'd get an extension to Article 50 is if we said, okay, we're going to have a second referendum.
I think it's the only way you could get an extension, in my opinion.
Yeah. Probably a long one, certainly. But this way, you probably get some of the bias on my end, but the government will not have a second referendum purely for their own party political interests. They do not want their government to split because they are frankly terrified that Labour are going to win the next election, because that is what would happen. Do
you think enough Remain conservatives would switch to Labour, or do you think enough Remain voters would mobilise for Labour that would happen? Because I can see some Remain conservatives kind of vote with Labour just on this regard.
Well, the thing is, there was a vote on an indicative referendum in the House of Commons, and it failed the first time because the Conservative whip said, okay, you're voting against this, no matter what. Now, what we've seen happen since then is that 3 Conservative MPs have actually left the Conservatives altogether to form their own party, the independent group, with a few Labour MPs as well.
And then three of May's cabinet members resigned from their post just to vote against her, right?
Yeah, that's correct as well. And the Conservative chief whip left the party a few days ago as well.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so it's really a mess. So I mean, the only real way I see out of this would be, and it's just got to be my parting comment, I'm afraid, because I'm going to go. But the only real way I see out of this is for May to either resign because she does not have any support for the Conservative MPs, or for UK to extend Article 50 slightly longer to say to the EU, okay, look, we're going to have a general election. We're going to see which government comes out on top, which party comes out on top, and we're going to go on their policy once they have a clear mandate. Of course, the worst thing to happen out of such an election like that would be another hung parliament, but you'd hope that you'd get a clear majority on one side or the other. Because at the moment, such as the way the House of Commons is made up at the moment, they just can't pass anything. There were five indicative votes on ways to go forward. All of them failed. So,
quick yes/no question. I heard somewhere that May promised to resign once Brexit was done. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah, that was true.
Okay, cool. So you guys would have would you guys have a general election after that, or would the Conservatives or would Parliament just vote on a new Prime Minister?
The Conservatives will vote for a new leader, and that they would become the new Prime
Most
Minister.
likely be the new Prime Minister. Okay.
Yeah, but it's possible that there would be a general election as well.
Okay, cool. If you have to leave, thanks for coming on, dude.
No worries. Let me know when it's next happening, and I'll have a bit more time.
Oh yeah, no, this one was rushed for sure, but thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you.
No worries. See you guys.
See you.
See ya.
Yeah, no, he's our resident Brit, if you couldn't tell by his accent.
Yeah.
Labor voter. He used to do volunteer work and activism with the Labor Party. I don't know if he still does. But yeah, that's Leftside. Are also a European expert. We kind of need one. We're all kind of ignorant Americans.
Yeah, just your average Americans.
But so I also wanted to talk about 2020 and kind of just go through the candidates, get a general idea for what we feel about them, strengths and weaknesses. Not so much just ideology, but political wise.
Let's start with the Libertarian Party. Let's do that first.
All right, cool. I think I'll have the most knowledge here. The declared serious candidates, by serious, I mean they will have at least one delegate vote for them that isn't like their close immediate friend, are Arvin Vohra, former vice chair of the Libertarian Party and overall provocateur, to say the least. He's cleaned up his act a bit. He no longer jokes about school board shootings, but I don't think he has a real chance.
Libertarianparty.jpg.
I don't think he has a lot of big chance of winning. Because a lot of people are still pissed at him for making such a big. He wants to fight a culture war, and I get the culture war aspect, but that's the exact wrong way of doing it. He goes after veterans, he goes after soldiers, he goes after government workers. He calls like welfare users dregs. Instead of talking about how we can get government out of our lives, he talks about how he wants to get like government gone, like in general, like the school board shooting joke, of course.
Right.
And he's got some support just because people think he'd get like media attention, but they don't realize that's bad media attention, and I just think that they're trolls. So that's also bias, but Vohra has no chance in hell for me of winning. Though he's really charismatic, and he's a really good debater and speaker. So I don't know if he'll convince enough people that he's changed. It's a toss-up on that. If he's convinced enough people he's changed, maybe. But I don't buy it. Second, you've got Kim Ruff. She is the secretary of the Radical Caucus, a local New Mexico party leader. Great ANCAP. She's kind of the whole liberty bus, though. We'll take the progress we get, hold the final goal in high regard, but also work towards practical ways of achieving liberty in everyday lives. One of their big things is down-ticket candidates. Local candidates, Senate, statewide. 30% of all campaign donations go to that. Candidates that she will endorse in her VP. And she's already picked the VP she wants, John Phillips Jr., but the way the Libertarian Party works is you don't pick it. Again, the delegates do. They vote on both. So that's their preferred, and generally candidates who have a preferred VP pick get it, and that's what we got Bill Weld. But, it's always a toss-up. If you don't like the VP candidate, you just don't get them. And her primary focus, like I said, is supporting down-ticket candidates, ensuring ballot access, And really, she's the new Harry Brown. Harry Brown was a presidential candidate from the early 2000s. He was like the great communicator. It isn't left or right. It's libertarian. It's not socially liberal, economically conservative. It's libertarian. And that's our main focus, just spreading the message. And we know we can't win the presidential nomination, so let's spread the message first.
So basically, like what Ron Paul did.
Yeah, the Ron Paul method, except for more socially liberal libertarianism than like paleo-conservative libertarianism, like Ron Paul was. Pro-choice, open borders. Additionally, we have. My mind's blanking right now. I should know this. There's another confirmed pick with confirmed candidate in Benjamin Leader. I don't know much about Ben Leader, to be honest. He's a provocateur. He's gone after people who call the cops on others. There was an instance where people called the cops on a confirmed pedophile, and he attacked them for it, saying that they're not real anarchists. I don't think that guy has any chance in hell of winning whatsoever because of that. He's burned a lot of bridges with that.
So what do you think about rumors of Justin Amash?
I got like one more candidate who's confirmed that has some chance before we get into like rumored picks. So I'm just going for the confirmed candidates. And we've also got Dan Taxation is Theft Behrman. That's his actual name that he's going with on the ballot if he gets the nomination per FEC filings. If you didn't get it, his shtick is taxation is theft. Again, I don't think he'll get the nomination. He's not charismatic. He's not a great communicator. And overall, he just can't get the votes. The only two who have a shot of getting the nomination and also John McAfee and Adam Kokesh. I don't think either of them need an introduction, but John McAfee has been wanted for murder before in other countries, and Adam Kokesh is an activist who's gone to jail several times. He's aligned with the Libertarian Socialist Caucus for bottom unity, and he really both of those have some support because of name recognition, but the more people who are like, we need sane, good name recognition, won't support him. So for rumored candidates, there's a guy named Hornberger. It's either Jason or Jacob. I can look it up real quick. He's a head of an institution called the Future Freedom Foundation, I think. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to look up his name. It's in a group chat I'm in. Oh, Jacob Hornberger. Sorry. I want to make sure I got it right. He's an older guy. He's really well spoken. Another great communicator. He has a decent shot of winning if he goes for it, and it's likely to happen that he nominates. He's a candidate. I mean, not nominated. And then the big rumor is Justin Amash. Amash is getting redistricted out of his seat in 2022. There have been lots of libertarians, according to my sources, talking to him. He has, according to my sources, joined Facebook groups that are dedicated to him running for president as a libertarian. And he has the name recognition, the political experience, the financial connections, the cultural connections, the political connections to get the nomination, I think, if he were to run. He's not my pick, but for my favorite, but if he runs, he's most likely to get the nomination. I think the only one who could put up a fight against him is Kim Roth, because she'd get the more principled libertarians. Amash is a constitutionalist, not a libertarian. He's conservative socially, pro-life, wants the wall. I think he would anger enough principled libertarians on his stances, and after the Bill Weld fiasco, I'd like to see him run in 2024. I'd like to see him put in the time as a party member first, though, if that makes sense.
Instead of just coming straight in, yeah.
Yeah, and I trust him more than I trust Weld, but people trusted Weld, and look where that got them.
Right. I just Googled Adam Kokesh, and I realized that I once watched a debate where he was one of the debaters, and he was sitting he was like in a room with the camera facing him, and I swear to God, it looked like he was in some kind of ISIS cave in Afghanistan, because it was like rock wall background, dim lighting. I was like, is this guy serious?
My problem with Adam is he's too willing to go to jail over small stuff and not real stuff. I will always support a candidate who's willing to go to jail for what they believe in, but I'm not willing to support a candidate who's willing to go to jail for stupid stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Because going to jail for the right thing is great PR. Don't get me wrong. Going to jail for stupid stuff is not how you get votes.
Facts.
Okay, so let's talk about the Republican Party now. Right, so declared candidates, we have Trump. Okay, let's move on to the Democrat Party now.
Well, no.
Hey, Bill Weld declared,
Bill Weld.
and I have a list of grievances with Bill Weld. If you'd like, if you'd be okay with me listing
yes, please do.
Make it short, but still.
2016 was not the first time Bill Weld ran in the Libertarian Party for something. He joined the Libertarian Party of New York in the 90s, I forget which year, which cycle, to run for governor. He promised to not leave the party. He promised to do the work. He promised to raise the funds. He promised to get ballot access. He promised a lot of things. He rejoined the Republican Party as soon as the election ended.
Hmm.
He
joined the Libertarian Party in '96, but he did not return until 2018. If I'm not mistaken.
He joined the Republican Party in 2019.
Yeah.
He was a Libertarian from 2016 to early 2019, and he was a Libertarian back in the mid 90s, I think. I forget what cycle it was. The man is a snake. The man makes lots of promises. As an Ohioan, he promised the Ohio delegation in 2016 that he'd help raise funds for ballot access, which he never did. He's promised a lot of things to the LP. He promised at the national convention to be a lifetime libertarian, and that's the only reason he got the nomination. And he is a snake. I would love to see Trump drag him through the mud in the debates. I really hope he gets in the debates just for that reason. He's a liberal Republican, not at all a libertarian. Weld, and I have issues with Weld.
Well, even knowing all that, I would support him as a Republican over Trump.
I wouldn't. He's pro-gun control, pro-higher taxes, more pro-war than Trump. Really, the only good thing about him is he's more open immigration. That's about it.
Wait. He's pro-gun control and he's pro-open immigration?
Yeah.
Oh, then fuck him. Never mind.
Yeah. He endorsed Hillary Clinton in 2016.
I guess I'm on the Trump train.
The guy's a snake. I'd like to see, literally, I'd vote for Governor John Kasich over Bill Weld, and that's saying something, man.
That's actually our next candidate, because he has...
he hasn't announced anything.
He hasn't announced, but he's been exploring.
Right now.
Oh, he has.
If he writes a new book, he's running for president. That's my Kasich rule.
Okay.
And I don't know if I haven't heard about anything about a book yet, but yeah, it's Weld and Trump are the only confirmed candidates.
Yeah, I would.
If you put a gun to my head,
support
I'd vote
Kasich if he ran. If he was the only other one.
So,
I don't like Kasich, honestly.
There was people in the Libertarian Party asking for Kasich to run as a Libertarian, and this is just dialogue, by the way, that we had in Ohio. We promised all the Ohio delegates promised to take a shit on stage if Kasich was on stage as a Libertarian candidate for president, and they'd call it liquidarity.
Well, that's never going to happen anyway, so...
Yeah, but just to say how much Ohio hates him.
Okay.
He's made it so hard to run as a third party in Ohio, and for that we hate him.
So, have you heard of any other Republicans that said they might run or are preparing exploratory campaigns or anything like that?
I heard Bob Corker was kind of exploring it. He had interest in it, and then there was what's his name, Flake from
Jeff Flake. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if a traditional never Trump Republican, normal conservative runs for president.
Do you think Mitt Romney tries to throw his?
No, he's comfortable in the Senate right now. Mm-hmm. If he runs again, it'll be 2024. He needs to regain his political base and political power. He needs to rebuild those connections. It would be dumb for him to run in 2020. He's been out of government for too long.
He ran the most boring, bland campaign in 2012.
Oh no, he was a horrible candidate, but it would make no political. The political capital he has, he should not run against an incumbent.
Yeah.
I don't think he should ever run again, honestly.
He should never run again, but just for strategy Mitt Romney wise, like strategy that benefit him, he should not run in 2020.
What about Ted Cruz?
God no, that man's a
be
bigger
funny.
snake than Bill Weld.
I don't
Oh,
see.
Tim joins.
So,
Oh, hey Tim.
Hey, your audio really sucks, by the way.
it's low, high, or muffling.
Yeah,
It's very
I
low.
don't- I don't think the recorder will pick you up.
I mean,
Let me
how's it now?
let me raise
How's
your
it now?
volume.
Yeah, maybe raise his volume because my audio is good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm using my phone, so I'm double checking.
All right, Tim. Can you say
So-
something?
Something.
All right. We can hear you like
We can
all
work
right.
with that.
All right, this
yeah.
is Tim, our kind of center left guy. He probably won't acknowledge it. He likes to be the god tier 0-0 centrist on the political compass. You know, kind of like football Jesus, basically, like something that doesn't exist. Touchdown Jesus, something that doesn't exist other than in statues and memory.
All right, so
But
back
no.
to.
Yeah, no.
As the
I wouldn't be
20
surprised if a never Trump Republican runs. My
Yeah,
final
that's
thoughts
the
on that.
only thing I see. Anybody that ran last cycle, other than maybe John Kasich, I don't see anybody stepping in. I don't see Rubio. I don't see Cruz or.
Yeah, no, they've
I
all
don't
kind of
see any
fallen
of them.
behind Trump.
Yeah.
They're off online, basically.
It'd be funny if
Yeah.
Jeb ran.
If Jeb runs,
Please
I
clap.
can't wait. I really want the Jeb memes again, man. I miss the Jeb meme. Jeb wins everything.
There's no way he can even get 1% favor
One
against
child.
Trump. It's like
One child left behind.
Yeah, and his name was Jeb Bush. I love that joke.
All right, let's move on to the Democratic.
Democrats.
Let's talk about the
There's so much.
serious ones.
No, let's
The
go.
ones
Let's
that
go
are-
through all of them. Let's go through every single one of them that we know of off the top of our heads, because there's too many to
all
go
right.
through. And
I've
I want this
got
to be fun.
a list up on New York
Right.
Times of all the Democrats who are running.
Yeah, I've got
I'm
a
sure
break.
it's incomplete.
They say it's 19 people. So
I've
All right,
got
let's-
one,
23, actually, 23.
Holy
23.
shit.
15,
I guess
16,
my list
17.
is outdated. It's two
I
days
got
old and
23.
outdated.
I've
Well,
got
Tim
19.
Ryan joined since your list came out. I'm pretty sure.
Oh. Well, we don't care about those people because they're probably nothing burgers. But
Yeah.
Tim Ryan would actually be a decent pick for the Democratic Party. Like, he's not great, but like he's moderate enough to get a decent amount of votes and isn't creepy like Joe Biden is. But I don't think he'll go anywhere for the same reasons Biden won't go anywhere.
okay.
Yeah, he just announced what Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday, something like that.
Yeah.
But all right, whoever has a list, go through. Let's
All
just go
right.
down your list.
So we've got Cory Booker.
Corporate shill, New Jersey, big money,
Yeah.
big pharma. You're an utter fool if you think he's actually progressive on anything.
No. He actually was, if I'm not mistaken, he was on Wall Street for quite a while. So
Yeah, if you think he's progressive on things like drugs or medical reform, like
no, not at all.
going after big pharma, you're an utter fool. I'm sorry.
No, he's deep in with those people. So
He has the same issue as Kamala Harris. Everyone thinks he's progressive, but at all heart, he's just a big old statist,
Yeah.
corporate statist.
Yep.
As far as I'm concerned, he's basically the devil incarnate as a New Jerseyan. So
I thought that was Chris Christie.
Even Christie's not as bad as Booker, as far as
But-
New
I don't
Jersey
think-
But
politicians.
lawn chair memes.
All right,
I don't
so
think Booker gets very far in any of the
Pete
primaries.
Judge,
I don't see it.
Pete Buttigieg,
sorry, what?
Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, I can't understand them.
Pete Buttigieg or something like
Buttigieg.
that. It's a guy from.
Buttigieg. Whatever.
Yeah, Pete
It's some
Buttigieg.
guy. It's some guy from
Buddy-
Indiana.
Buddy-
Let's refer to him as Mayor Pete.
Maybe.
I've never heard of this guy before. He's mayor of South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah, I actually kind of like the guy, not as a candidate, but I think he has the right demeanor.
Was it him who took his mom to see a porno in the 70s?
No, that was John Hickenlooper.
Oh.
Don't worry, we're getting there.
I wanna
I'm
tell
all
that story.
for the mom porno movie story.
No, he-
No, Mayor Pete, he's mayor of South Bend, and at the time it was one of the five most decaying cities in the country. And he actually turned it around decently.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Some quick Keynesian politics at work, Keynesian economics at work. He turned it around temporarily. I don't know how long it'll last. It's Keynesianism. But he's a former veteran, openly gay, in a red state like Indiana. It's a liberal city, but I think he's well liked around the state.
Something to add about Cory Booker. He was the mayor of Newark, which
Yeah, New Jersey, Newark.
Yeah.
That's one of the most corrupt cities in the country.
Yeah, for people who aren't from New Jersey, Newark and Camden are like, if you go there, you're going to get shot immediately.
Yeah, yeah.
But going back to Mayor Pete, I like his demeanor. I don't like his politics. He thinks economic equality is freedom. But I think he's kind of a voice of sanity when it comes to like how we should act politically. So, like not like our politics, but like how we treat each other, how we act towards each other. He refuses to acknowledge Trump. He refuses to like talk about what Trump does. He only talks about like what he's willing to do as president. Mostly.
If he gets anywhere, that's not going to work at all.
It's not going to work at all, but I think that's what you should do. Like, you should focus on yourself and not...
I think the one thing he's got going for him is he's
gay.
Young. Well, that
he's also trying to avoid policy.
For the Democratic Party, yes.
Remember, his gayness on the oppression Olympics scale, does it outweigh his white maleness?
Well, I don't know about that, but definitely he doesn't hold a candle to a woman or a Muslim or anything like that, so...
I think it might beat a white woman on the oppression Olympics, but I don't think it beats a woman of color.
No,
a male of color. Yeah, no, I think it counteracts his white maleness, but it doesn't give him the edge over other groups.
If a Muslim was running, then they would obviously hold the top spot in the oppression Olympics. I mean, we found that out when the Pulse nightclub shooting happened, and the media was, because it was a Muslim against the gays, and we found that out right quick.
All right,
anyway.
he wants to take the next candidate.
Julian Castro. I know pretty much nothing about this guy.
So he's a former secretary of something under Obama.
Secretary of Urban Housing and Development.
Urban Housing and Development, which means he's done absolutely jack squat for the black community and for minorities.
He was also the mayor of San Antonio, Texas from 2009 to 2014.
Funny story. I know several libertarian campaigns who have taken volunteers away from Castro. I'm not sure what that says about him, but I'm pretty sure it says a decent amount of stuff. And these are unpaid positions. So I think it speaks ill of Castro in that regard.
Yeah, Castro is only polling at 1% right now.
He's getting nowhere.
Yeah, he's going nowhere.
I'm the one who knows about him because I give too much of a shit about this, but no one else does. So...
All right,
so next, John Delaney. I've never heard of the guy, but he's also a...
I've heard of him. I can't remember why.
He's from New Jersey, but right now he is a U.S. representative for Maryland.
No, it says former congressman from Maryland.
He's the creepy guy.
Oh, okay. He looks like a pedophile.
Yeah, no. Fun of people for their looks, but...
Right. In
so
fact,
I'm looking at his political
I
views.
think he kind of looks like Stefan Molyneux in a way. He has that same like bald head, kind of weird look on his face.
So he supports raising the corporate tax rates. He's described as a moderate sometimes. He's described as progressive in others. So I don't know. He announced his campaign back in 2017 for the 2020 presidency, and he's only gotten this far. Like, I don't think he's going anywhere.
He doesn't even show up on most polls, if we're being honest.
If he announced back in 2017 and has gotten nowhere since then, he's a joke. Don't worry about him.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about
Tulsi Gabbard.
Is that her name?
Okay. Yeah. a lot of libertarians like Tulsi because she's anti-war. But my problem is she's willing to go to state economic power so much, it's basically all but going to ensure that war happens because it needs somewhere to, like, it needs broken windows to fix, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Gains in economics. And I like her. She's vehemently anti-war. She's great in that regard. I'd love to see her. I love her in the Senate. I'd love to see her in the Senate because of that. You know, voting on war resolutions, I'd like to see her move up in that regard. But man, oh man, she should never be. You know what I mean? She's horrible economics. She's a Bernie-crat when it comes to that, and sometimes more progressive than Bernie. I don't know. I can't see myself. Some libertarians want to vote for her. I understand. I'd like to see her. I'd love to see her on the debate stage talking about war, talking about how the Republicans and Democrats are just corporate shills, talking about all that stuff. But I don't want to see her win.
Apparently, she met with Bashar al-Assad.
Yeah, and that's not an issue to me.
Okay.
She wants peace in the Middle East. She wants to stop intervening everywhere. I don't mind that she met with Bashar al-Assad.
I understand wanting peace in the Middle East, but I don't think Assad is anyone's friend.
If we're gonna get peace in Syria, we have to give Bashar al-Assad his power back.
Yeah, that's true, but we shouldn't I don't think she should have.
She met with him on a congressional visit, I believe. It's a non-issue. That's like talking about McCain meeting with those guys in Iraq or Syria. Like,
I thought it meant like she met with him not as a representative of anything.
I think she met with him like personally during that visit, but it's a non-issue.
Okay.
To me, at least.
I've also seen that
what, Tim?
The media is using it as a pro. Side smear.
It's more of an issue than it actually. People make it more of an issue than it actually.
Yeah.
We should meet with our enemies. Yeah. What were you saying, Steve?
So apparently the progressive left is now partially against her because she made some. She used to have some anti-gay stances. Yeah, she used to have some anti-gay stances back in the day, which, according to her, have changed. And I believe it, looking at her voting record. Yeah. I don't know if it really if her personal politics have changed, but either she realized it's politically beneficial, or she actually had a change of heart. Who knows? But her voting record says that she's changed her mind, at least politically, on the issue. So I'm not going to hold that against her. You know, some people have a come to Jesus moment on this. I don't mind if you were at one point anti-gay. I just care what you are now.
I honestly don't see her going anywhere or going far in the primaries.
I don't see her going far, but I think she needs to be a voice on the debate stage because she's the only anti-war candidate the left has, other than Mike Gravel.
She has the same problem as Bernie Sanders in the last year. No name recognition.
Yeah, I think she'll probably become a political figure later on, but 2020 is not going to be a good year for her.
She's
only she has a little name recognition.
She has a little bit. She's young too.
Like, people don't heard.
She was on Joe Rogan one time.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I've heard she was on there.
I think I listened to it. I don't remember much of what she said though, because it was all sort of bland.
Yeah, no, she's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how she does. Like I said, I'd like to see her on the debate stage. I think she'd be a useful anti-war, anti-imperialism voice. I think she'd be a useful anti-corporatism voice.
Agreed.
But I don't think she'll get anywhere in 2020. Maybe she'll have a shot in 2024 if the Democrats don't win and they don't run an incumbent, but that's just me.
All right, so next, Kirsten Gillibrand.
Her gym post showed just how fake she is and just how annoying she is. I haven't even heard anyone talk about her recently.
She's Hillary 2.0.
Like I said, I work on a presidential campaign, and we're constantly talking about the opposition and stuff, just going over recent stuff. No one in our group chat has mentioned her name once.
No, you haven't heard anything from her on the media or anything.
Even the quote that the New York Times gives from her makes her sound like just so insufferable. She says, "I'm a young mom, and I'm going to fight for other people's kids as hard as I would fight for my own." I'm just like, shut up.
Shoot me now.
Yeah.
Can I talk about another candidate real quick that probably isn't on your list?
Go ahead.
Mike Gravel, the Gravel Gang man.
Yeah.
The Gravel Gang man is the best that they've got. He's a socialist, but he's so anti-war and anti-imperialism. That's his issue. That's his one issue. Well, actually, I think he's money in politics too. But his Twitter is absolutely fucking fire. There was one tweet. He hasn't actually officially announced yet. I think there's people getting him to. But one tweet on his Twitter.
He's scheduled to announce April the 8th, I think.
But there's one tweet on his Twitter I will never forget. It was, I hope the faucets in Joe Biden's house are strong because something needs to wipe away all the innocent Iraqi children's blood on his hands.
Wow.
He is no holds barred. He's like 80 years old. He doesn't want to win. He just wants to say what's on his mind. And I will applaud him on that debate stage. I want to see him get on that debate stage. And his issue is war.
Well, you know his Twitter isn't run by him, right?
It's not run by him, but it's the message that he's had for all the years he's been a politician.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting.
It's run by students.
Yeah, it's run by high school students. There's a group of very left-wing high school students.
They saw some of his stuff from 2008 when he ran for president and loved him and have been pushing for him to run again. And this is the stuff he'd say. Like, it really isn't that far away from what he'd say. And I think he actually said similar things on the debate stage.
Okay.
He has a no holds barred attitude because he's 88 years old and just no longer gives a fuck.
Did he not run for the Democratic and the Libertarian?
No, he didn't run for the Libertarian Party candidacy back then. But he's so anti-war, and that's his one issue now because he's old and he doesn't want to win. I will totally support him in his campaign because of that.
Well, I understand the whole anti-war thing, but I'm very suspicious of left-wingers who are anti-war from a socialist perspective. So
I'm suspicious of it but since he does not want to win, I don't mind.
All right, fair enough.
That's my opinion of it. Because he doesn't want to win, he just wants to talk about war and imperialism and all that.
All right. So Kamala Harris.
She's a cop.
Yeah.
She's a cop. That's all I have to say about her.
That's more or less.
She's anti-weed, personally. She's horrible for prostitution. Sex workers hate the ever-loving hell out of her because she's endangered their lives through legislation she's pushed. She's a fake progressive. She's just a never corporate shit like Cory Booker. And I don't know why people on the left support her. She's basically just a Republican wife.
Right now, she's actually the third. She's polling right at 10% right now. So.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
She's basically has the social views of like Mike Huckabee, like
wow.
Other than gay marriage and abortion, that's basically her. She's basically Mike Huckabee on social views.
So do you think
drugs are bad?
Do you think
she's anti-weed. She will likely have a very good chance of winning because she's just such a good liar.
I know there's a thing with her where she says she's like, if kids skip class, we're gonna throw their ass in jail or something.
No, not their asses, their parents' asses.
Yeah.
She puts truancy laws against parents because that only hurts poor that really hurts poor parents, especially minority parents. She's pro marijuana criminalization. In her attorney general race in like 2010, she was anti-weed. She's been anti-weed until she announced her campaign for president. She's horrible for sex workers. She wants the Nordic model style, according to her, which decriminalizes it for sex workers but leaves it criminal for clients, which is just it's just as harmful for sex workers then because they still can't vet their clients. She's pro Sosta Festa, which makes it impossible for sex workers to advertise online, basically. And that's what keeps them safe. I've actually gotten into sex work politics because of recent local stuff. And
because you're a horny bastard.
No. Actually, my local city passed a lot of prostitution laws that are really, really bad in like the last like couple months. So I've gotten more interested in that because I was hoping to coalition with some like progressives on it, but they refused to. But it's just so I follow a couple sex worker activists on Twitter, and I know a couple through like campaign work, and they all hate her guts.
Yeah. Fair
All right,
enough.
so next we have John Hickenlooper.
Steve, you can tell the mom porn movie story. I'll
All
let
right.
you take that one.
Right. So, so apparently, there was an X-rated movie that came out at some time during the 70s, and he didn't know that the movie was X-rated and
No, he knew. His mom didn't know.
Oh, he knew that. That makes it even funnier. That's hilarious. Wait,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, he was. I watched that video. He was trying to get his mom not to come with him. She kept saying, "Yes, I'm with you," and he didn't want to tell them what it was because he'd be too embarrassed to say it.
wow.
So he watched the movie Deep Throat with his mom and his best friend.
But from the title, didn't she get the? Oh my god.
Deep Throat.
My question is, did she stay through the whole thing?
Yes, they watched the entire thing according to the CNN interview.
No.
I watched that clip of the town hall at least like 7 times.
Why? Okay, right. That's weird. But then why would he share this story with the world when he's
Because
running
it
for
makes
president?
it makes him personable. Okay,
No, it
like
doesn't.
he was a young
It makes
kid.
him creepy.
No. It makes him personable. He was a 17-year-old guy wanting to go to an army movie with his best friend, and his mom tagged along to be like a helicopter parent. And I think it's personable. I think it's funny, and it distracts people from his like harmful views.
Okay, so then what are his views?
He's a more moderate Democrat. This was the guy that people thought John Kasich would run with on a union ticket back in the day, if you remember.
Oh, okay.
Hey, who's ever got that background noise? I think it's Tim. Can you like
My bad.
push the talk or something?
Wait. Oh, come on. I found it.
Who's ever that is to like
Yeah,
push the talk or something?
he did
Yeah,
it.
okay.
We're good.
He's a more moderate Democrat. I don't really know his views that well, but he was the guy that Kasich was thinking of running with as like a moderate governor ticket. So anyone that people put together with Kasich is a bad idea in my opinion, and that's why he should not be president. But I will
Okay.
give him props for going on like live national TV and talking about how he went to an R-rated movie with his mom, or X-rated movie.
So believe it or not, he is actually the lowest one on the...
How does the porn movie not make him?
I don't know, but he's only at 0.7%.
That's the problem with the Democratic Party. They can't look past my opinions and love that he went to see an X-rated movie with his mom. This is why democracy is the god that failed. I hate everyone.
Also,
All right,
it says
so
in
next-
his signature issues that he's very pro gun control, so I hate him. And there.
Okay, but Deep Throat.
I wouldn't see Deep Throat.
I will always remember him as Deep Throat guy.
All right, I'm cool with
You have-
calling
you have
him
fun
that.
with
I guess.
Anyway, moving on.
Jay Inslee.
Next we have Jay Inslee. Yeah,
No idea who that is. Like I've
He
never even
is-
heard of the name.
he is
Governor
the
of
governor
Washington
of
State.
Washington State.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a Seattle progressive type.
Well,
Yeah,
his
more or
his number one thing is climate change.
It's climate change,
He's
right?
apparently running
Yeah.
a campaign purely on climate change.
That's why I
Okay.
think he'll get nowhere. I think that there's enough candidates who made issue for the Democratic
Oh,
Party that he'll get
can we
nowhere.
can we take a brief interim? Because I read a really interesting article yesterday that I just have to share with people.
Oh, sure. What was it about?
Right. So
So Jan's going nowhere because there's enough green candidates on the party
yeah.
already.
So it was basically about they're developing ways, like oil companies like Chevron and Exxon. They're developing a way to take atmospheric carbon dioxide and turn it into calcium carbonate in an effort to reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So
Shit.
they're basically going to build these huge plants where they suck air out of air, and through a bunch of chemical reactions they turn carbon dioxide into calcium carbonate, and then I think they're experimenting with ways to turn that into crude oil, but I don't know how that would even work because you would have to put more energy in than you would get out of the crude oil.
That's the biggest problem that I've seen with all of the like there have been even you know how algae
Yeah.
will create basically it'll eat carbon. especially carbon dioxide. Well, they've had experiments down in the Arctic waters, near the South Pole, not the Arctic.
You're having some sort of like static going on.
Feedback, static issue, yeah.
Yeah. Can you like play around with that?
Still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
It's really annoying. Maybe disconnect from the channel and then come back in.
Yeah.
But so going back to the calcium carbonate thing, or
it's still there. Maybe you can unplug your microphone or headset and then plug it back in.
It's fine for me.
Oh, it stopped, I think.
Okay. Anyway, so
it's
what I was
kind
saying
of there now.
It's going back.
Hold on, I kind of hear it.
A little bit. It's there.
Yeah, now it's getting worse. Maybe just unplug your microphone and plug it back in. Maybe it's like not connected properly.
But that's cool. Turning carbon dioxide to like what?
How about now?
Oil?
It's still there.
Damn.
But if we put it back into oil, it's still going to be like a fossil fuels.
Well, that's not the problem. It's the problem is carbon dioxide is at a very low potential energy state, and the reason oil is useful is because it's a molecule that's at a very high potential energy state. So we can get that excess energy when it's going from oil to carbon dioxide. In order to turn it back into oil, you'd have to have a large energy input that would defeat the purpose of even making the oil in the first place.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting to see where it goes with that, because they might find some really good stuff when it comes to carbon emissions, though.
At the very least, they can turn a bunch of it into calcium carbonate and then either just bury it, or find out some other use for that, like make it into bricks. What?
Yeah, is calcium carbonate useful for anything?
Calcium carbonate is basically limestone. And I don't know how much limestone people use when, building, but it's a pretty brittle.
If we get a market for it from getting rid of carbon emissions and making it calcium carbonate, I'm sure people will use it.
Yeah, that's possible. But if we can't find any use for it, then I'd totally be for the government subsidizing building these plants, if just to save our lives.
What did you just say?
I said I'm a fucking statist.
Okay.
See, the problem is like I was saying, anytime that you do something like that, it takes more energy to get it out, what you're putting in. So that's what I was saying with like the algae, or not necessarily the algae, but the kelp, the coral, not the coral, the phytoplankton. There we go.
Right.
In the southern Pacific and Indian Oceans, they were putting out iron. And you would see an explosion of phytoplankton, and it was drawing because that's how carbon gets out of the air mostly. The phytoplankton, eat. They'll consume it, and when they die, it'll sink down to the bottom of the ocean. That's how most of the carbon leaves the atmosphere, but it takes such a long time, and everything that they could try and do, everything that they did was more harmful than the fact that they got the small percentage out.
Okay.
So unless you can figure out a way to where you're not creating more when you do it, which I don't think is going to happen anytime in the near future.
Well, perhaps you use solar energy or wind energy or something to run the plants.
That's the thing. Wind energy and solar energy doesn't pay for itself. Wind energy sometimes pays for itself. Solar energy, by the time you are finished, like the solar panels, they don't last forever. But by the time that you're done using them, they're no good.
Well, basically what I mean is you use some form of energy to power the plants that doesn't involve the burning of fossil fuels, and then you are having like a net negative carbon effect. Right? Like, even if you use nuclear plants to run the calcium carbonate plants, then you would have less carbon dioxide in the atmosphere over time, even though you're using more energy than you're gaining.
All right,
So that'd be
I
good.
think we're kind of getting off track here.
But anyway, yeah, I read that in the BBC, and I found it very interesting, kind of related to climate change, which was kind of related to...
Yeah, it's related to the Democratic platform.
Yeah.
No, I have a quick segue to something.
Yeah.
It's about sex work. I follow a couple of sex workers on Twitter who are activists too, and one just retweeted something. One of Brooklyn's district attorneys publicly endorsed decriminalizing sex work. But I'd just like to talk about the name of the newspaper. It's called Gay City News.
Okay.
Because it focuses on queer LGBT stuff like that, where a lot of sex workers are LGBT and Q and all that. So they're talking about trans rights and all that. But Gay City News is the best newspaper name known to man. Changed my mind. But the sex work decriminalization has gained a lot of traction in New York, and I'm really excited to see where that goes as well.
All right. Well.
So who else do we have? Joe Biden.
Next up on the list is
Amy.
Let me just get a second to
she's
pronounce
not
this.
Amy Klobuchar.
Klobuchar,
she's
okay.
not afraid of hard work, but her staffers are. For those of you who didn't get the joke, she's been accused of physically assaulting her staffers.
Okay.
I get it. I heard about it.
So I think
Insult to injury.
So I think that was a great joke. Screw you for not laughing.
I didn't know what you're talking about.
I enjoy it. It was funny.
Thank you.
Isn't that
Thank
the
you,
lady
Tim.
that announced her candidacy in
the rain?
Snow.
Yeah, in the snow, and she's from Minnesota or Wisconsin or something like that. She's not going to get anywhere either.
No,
she's got too much
nowhere.
baggage, and she's too she
We
appears
could
too
have-
moderate.
Well, if
What's
she
his point
wins,
at?
we could
1%, I believe.
If she wins the primary, we could have a repeat of Reagan's.
Clinton versus Trump.
No.
Yeah.
A repeat.
Well,
of
no, that's
Reagan's
with Kamala
second
Harris,
election.
I think.
Repeat of what? Wanagi, sorry.
Of Reagan's second election.
Why?
Where it's a landslide, except
Where
for
it's a landslide,
Minnesota.
and the guy was from Minnesota, and that's the only state he won.
Walter Mondale won Minnesota and DC.
I
and that
don't
was
think
it.
Trump would even win
Trump won-
2020.
I think Trump wins 2020, depending on who the Democrats run. I think it's his election to
Pretty much.
lose. Honestly, I think the only person who could beat him is a moderate.
And from what
yeah.
the party is doing right now, I don't see a moderate win.
I don't see a moderate winning the
see a
primary,
moderate.
but the problem is the progressives would alienate too many of the conservatives who are dissatisfied with Trump, and I think that Trump will win if they go for progressive. It will be close like last time, and honestly, if he loses states like Pennsylvania, he might not win, but it just depends, because so many of the states that he won were razor-thin margins. It just really depends.
All right. Well, next guy up on the list, Wayne Messam,
No idea who that
Who
is.
is that?
mayor
Who is
of Miramar, Florida, and former college football champion. What?
You know what? I want to see him get on the debate stage and just tackle someone. Don't have
Yeah.
I'd be down.
Anyone
Yeah, I
who
don't
played
see him going
football,
anywhere.
you got to be suspicious of their intelligence because they got knocked in the head so many times.
Anyone who's on the Democratic primary stage, you gotta be suspicious of their intelligence.
All right. I think we can just slide on past that. So, next guy, Beto O'Rourke.
Beto.
Beto is a furry.
Okay. Wait, did you say furry or 3?
Yes, furry. He used to be
Furry?
a furry back in the day.
What?
Is this confirmed? What?
This is confirmed.
This is
What?
awesome.
He
I
used to
need
dress-
to know
he
more
used-
about this.
He was in a punk band, and he dressed up in animal costumes once or twice.
What
That doesn't
the
count.
hell? What?
Yeah, no, it counts. Beto is a furry.
All right, cool.
And he just actually it's more than once or twice. It was a decent amount of times. He's got too much baggage with the whole hit and run thing.
He lost to Ted Cruz.
He
That's what I
lost
heard forever.
to Ted Cruz, who's one of the most hated incumbents ever in 2018. All over 2018. And he really could have won Texas, but he's just such a bad candidate, he lost.
What
Yep.
makes him all the Democrats love Beto O'Rourke for some reason. What does he actually say? What did he do that makes him?
He stands on tables like a college girl.
Okay.
I think it's more of him. He's young for
He's
one.
very charismatic. He's got like a Kennedy type.
Oh,
Yes,
I
he
see.
is.
But I saw this great Babylon Bee article where it's bar and restaurant owners insert spikes on top of tables to stop Beto or work from standing on them.
So basically, to try to turn him into another Obama.
He's basically a sorority girl. False promises. He looks better than he really is, and he likes to stand on elevated surfaces. I think that really encompasses Beto O'Rourke, and he's a furry.
He doesn't look very charismatic. He looks kind of not.
When
all
he
there.
speaks, when he speaks, he commands respect and attention.
Yeah.
Not respect, but attention. He commands attention. He's very charismatic.
I guess I haven't
His-
heard him speak
Another
then.
Obama.
He had some really good campaign speeches when he ran for Senate. He's really good. He uses his hands a lot too much, in my opinion. But that's it.
Okay.
As
Like,
far as his
go and-
fundraising,
When you have time, go and look up some of his old speeches for Senate race. He can raise so much money because of all his like wealthy family connections, though.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. As far as his fundraising, the only reason is because his wife, he married into a very
Like a billionaire heiress.
very, very rich.
Wow.
So that's the only reason he's done as well, and that's why he's at number
Wow.
4 right now at like 9.2%.
Yeah. No, he'd fundraise a lot, and if he would win, he would have so many corporatist like loyalties. It would be horrible for America.
Yeah.
All right. Next up on the list, Tim Ryan.
Tim
We already
Ryan,
talked about him.
as an Ohioan, I can talk about him a bit.
Okay.
He's kind of a moderate Ohio Democrat. Normal Democrat stuff before like they went off the rails so much. He's a good guy, actually. Like a lot of local libertarians like him because he's just like a decent person, a decent human being. Like who are from his area, that like they know he's like actually personally good person. Though his policy sucks.
All right.
I don't think he'll get anywhere. He just doesn't have the profile. He doesn't have the attention. He came in too late. He won't raise enough funds. He doesn't have enough connections. He's too sane for the rest of them. So, I agree with Wanagi. Keep Biden and Bernie till last.
He did just announce like 2 or 3 days ago, so
But
I
just knowing him, though, he won't get anywhere.
probably not.
He's
Alright,
too much
then.
of a good person to win an election.
Well,
I think
he
just because
seems
there's
like
so
the
many.
preferred candidate as far as I'm concerned, or my
No.
preferred candidate.
He's not my preferred candidate. Like
Well,
I said,
for the
I'm-
Democrat ticket,
I'm Gravel
anyway.
Gang. I'm all the way Gravel Gang
Oh, I see.
when it comes to Democrats.
So you're a leftist socialist.
No. When it comes to Democrats, Gravel Gang all the way.
Okay.
All right.
So let's move on to Miss Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas. as
Are
she-
we not going to talk about Bernie
Pocahontas.
Sanders?
I think we're going to do Bernie and
keep
Biden.
him, we're going to keep him
last.
All right.
till
Let's do
last.
that.
Pocahontas, she's another corporatist shill. She pissed off a lot of like the progressive left when it came to the whole Native American incident. Trump would drag her name through the mud in the debate. Everyone knows that. She'd be probably the worst candidate Democrats to run.
Yeah,
When it comes to-
100% will not win against Trump.
She has the least chance of winning, in my opinion.
Yeah.
She does have. She is number 5 in polling, but that's only like 6%. So that's not even enough to.
She
say
must have
anything.
been out of her mind to release that DNA test.
Oh
yeah,
my
I'm,
God,
I'm
what was
one
she
in
thinking?
Yep.
10,000, or in like
1 in
1,024.
5,024.
11024.
She about has
11024.
she has about 1 out of 5,024 brain cells. When she did that, when she had made that decision,
Yeah.
that killed her chances of ever being president.
I wonder who the strategist that gave her the idea of the
Well,
worst strategist ever.
When Democrat voters analyze who to vote for, they will not vote for her because they know she can never ever win.
Yep.
Like less chance than any Democrat, in my opinion.
Okay, next up, Marianne
David.
Williamson.
Okay, I looked her up a bit actually before this.
Wait.
She doesn't even have enough individual donations to get on the debate stage
Oh,
yet.
Okay.
And I think that's a good disqualifier to really talk about her.
It says she's a New Age lecturer? What the hell?
Yeah, she's kind of a weirdo, not gonna lie.
Okay.
I've never heard of
She's
her,
like,
so.
alright.
She's into spirituality books.
I looked her up a couple days ago. I was not impressed by anything. I can't remember.
She's for $100 billion in reparations for slavery.
Yeah,
So.
that's what really was like, wow. That might actually help her in the Democrat field, but
yeah, but that's literally retarded.
Yeah, but that happens. Let's not get into that right now.
All right.
Yeah, that'll be a topic for another day.
Yeah, you know what? Why don't we save the Yang Gang for last? Because
Yang Gang.
No,
I'm coming for that. I'm coming for that. Let's get that bag.
Let's go ahead and do him.
All right, sure. So, what do you guys think about the Yang Gang? Took over.
I think it's the worst meme game in all of presidential history.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't mind the $1,000 that he's giving out.
Hold on. Have you guys seen that meme where it's like where you buy your ARs and lowers with your $1,000 a month, but then Yang knocks on your door to take them all away?
Right. Exactly.
It's today. Like it's that Nemo starfish thing. Today's the day.
He also. This is something that I need to get out about Yang because not many people are talking about this, and it's kind of concerning to me. You know the Chinese social credit system?
Yeah, he has like a thing like that.
He's pro having something like the Chinese social credit system.
Yeah.
In the U.S. run by the federal government.
To accurately describe what you said, though, it's only for the positives, but it's still very dangerous.
Yeah. Right.
I'm gonna drop some Yang Gang memes in the chat. Well, we're talking about this because I love Yang Gang memes.
And universal basic income is absolutely stupid. It just. I was talking to a friend actually the other day about this, and then another one of my friends came up and overheard our discussion, and he kind of went along with it. But then at some point he's like, "Wait a minute. Is this an actual serious thing that people think might actually happen?" And we were like, "Yeah." And he just starts laughing because to someone who hasn't heard about universal basic income before, everyone getting $1,000 a month with no strings attached by the government just sounds like a ridiculous idea. Right out of hand.
Hey, are you recording the group chat?
What do you mean recording the group chat?
Like can people see, will people be able to see what we put in the message?
No. Unless you want me to put it there.
Put that starfish meme in there somehow when we upload the video.
Okay.
We'll do that. That's pretty good.
I don't know if it's Article 13 compliant, but
this isn't the EU, baby.
I guess Leftside won't be able to watch the stream.
But no. I really don't like Andrew Yang. I don't like his AI stance. I think he's anti-capitalist in every regard, even though he claims to be pro-capitalism. My problem is he thinks that like the UBI is like capitalist, and I think he just needs to grow up and admit he's a socialist.
He says it's to save capitalism, I think.
Just like George Bush. That's pretty much what George W. Bush said. Screw people who want to save capitalism by being socialist. No more George Bushes.
Wait, are you trying to tell me that George W. Bush was a socialist?
Yes.
All right, we're just gonna slide on past that and move on.
Capitalism.
Yeah. We're gonna slide on past that.
Yeah, we're just gonna slide right on.
Capitalism is socialism.
We're just gonna slide right on past that. Joe Biden. Let's talk about him, even though he's not on this list.
Did you guys see Trump's tweet?
Let's talk about Sanders real quick first.
All right, Sanders.
Sanders is officially
missing a person. You guys are missing somebody.
What happened?
You guys missed somebody.
Oh, who?
Steve Bullock.
What?
Let's not talk about someone who won't be on the debate stage at all. Like, if we don't know who they are, like,
yeah, then we're probably not gonna.
If none of us know who they are, it's not worth about talking, in my opinion, because we can't add anything to the conversation.
How about Howard Schultz?
Howard Schultz.
He's an independent.
He's going to be running as independent. We'll talk
about
that.
That's true.
Oh yeah, independent. Never mind.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders. He's a celebrity socialist.
2 months ago when he announced?
I don't know, but he's a celebrity candidate. He has no actual policy positions other than what he wants to say at that time of day. I'll give Andrew Yang this: he has like a metric shit ton of clear like policies outlined on his website. Bernie's got nothing. He's a joke. I hope he doesn't win. He's god awful for America. Screw Bernie. Screw socialism.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'm not even
the
sure.
The accelerationist side of him wants him to win, so that way he collapses our whole system, and Kapistan can rise from the ashes.
Yeah, that'll not happen.
No, it won't. But a boy can dream.
No,
He'll be
so
78, I believe, at the time of the election. Maybe he'll be 79 at the time of inauguration. I don't know, but that's only 2 or 3 years younger than Mike Gravel.
But Gravel doesn't want to win. Bernie does.
Gravel's 88, actually.
Gravel's like 88. He's like close to 90. Like he doesn't plan on winning.
Oh, I thought it was only 80.
No,
All right,
he's 88.
that's different.
He's old.
No, okay, so we do have to take
but
Sanders
Gravel
seriously.
will rock and roll you guys.
Yeah. But no, we do
I'm
have
not
to
done
take
with the Gravel
Sanders.
memes puns.
We do have to take Sanders seriously because
Oh, we do.
as of right now, he, as far as official candidates, he is the leading candidate. He's
That's the problem.
Yeah.
22%.
Yeah.
No, I think he has no way in hell of beating Trump.
Really?
No,
Yeah,
He
I
has
think-
a ton of popular appeal.
No, hold on. Hillary got a lot of never Trump votes, and a lot of people didn't vote for Trump because they're like, well, Trump's not worth it. But so many conservatives and so many moderates would just vote for Trump because Bernie Sanders is just too far left.
Yes, he's just...
Well, weren't there a lot of Democrats in 2016 who didn't vote for Hillary Clinton as
Yeah.
protest?
but
Because
nowhere near as much though.
okay,
No,
I think people do that out of a proportion.
I still think Bernie would win over Trump because he's just more appealing to more people than Trump is.
He appeals to people to. He can bring people to the polls.
Fighting populism with populism just won't work, in my opinion.
What was it?
When I first
Populism with
watched
populism.
Bernie Sanders, when I first watched him, you could tell that he actually believes what he's saying and he's passionate about it, and that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the biggest scary thing, and that's why you'll see so much come out against him.
At
It would
least with the
literally be a
progressives,
landslide.
At least with the fake progressives, it's just same shit, different day. But with Bernie, it's like actual problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know how to deal with the same shit. Like, there's not much difference between George Bush and Kamala Harris. I don't know how to deal with Bernie Sanders.
Well, that's why I would think Bernie would win, because to the American voter, he looks like he's very passionate and energetic about what he believes. So they would see him as someone for the people, just like a lot of people saw Trump as being that kind of person.
I bet David Duke would give Bernie Sanders endorsement and tank his campaign. No, David Duke
That'd be
actually
funny.
really likes Bernie Sanders.
Man.
Because Bernie has a lot of anti-immigration stances, and it's basically just like white socialism.
Well,
at that
he
point.
did back in like the 80s, but now he's,
Yeah.
He really hasn't tampered down that much.
But he doesn't talk about it all that
He's
much.
nowhere near as much like closed borders as Trump is, but man, oh man, like he's basically just like white socialism, which is what David Duke loves.
Okay.
So basically, like the Soviet Union, more or less, or Russia.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why he honeymoon there.
Yeah. Okay,
But like I
so-
said, I don't think he wins.
Except Bernie isn't actually a socialist by the political science.
He's a social democrat.
Hey, if I can call George Bush a socialist, I can call Bernie Sanders a socialist.
We're sliding
More of a
past
social
that because I
democrat.
don't even want to touch. I don't even know where to begin with that one.
Yeah, that's a whole
state
nother
capitalism.
It's another story.
Socialism.
That's just not
It's
true.
a whole nother story.
That Vladimir Lenin, baby.
Oh my god.
video. Anyway, so okay, Joe Biden, does he even
Have a
announce
chance of winning?
candidacy? No, not that.
Not-
'Cause I
Wait,
think
has he not formally
Will he
announced
won?
yet?
The question is, will he run? Because he's not announced yet. He didn't announce
Okay.
yet.
He
So-
was going
He's
to run,
he's
but
waiting.
I don't know if
Yeah.
he's going to run now because of all the
the whole Me Too stuff.
creepy
All the
Joe
Me
Biden.
Too women.
Okay,
yeah,
Can we
women,
talk about
he's in
how
trouble.
fired Trump's tweet was? Did you guys see that tweet?
No,
That
you want me
he
to
had
pull
the
it up?
video of.
That
Yes,
was
I saw the
amazing.
tweet. That was funny. That was hilarious. I saw it.
I can describe it.
Following Joe Biden. That's hilarious.
I can describe
saw
it.
that.
You know that? You remember that pose he had when he was like nuzzling that redhead girl's neck, basically?
Yeah.
They do that, and he has like. There's a video that Trump found. Like people, it worked its way towards Trump in his campaign, where it was like what's it
It
called?
was Joe Biden.
It was Joe Biden doing that to himself, and the response that Biden made, where it's like, I just want to give people their personal space. I didn't realize how bad it was. I'll change my ways. And it was over that video. It was Biden nuzzling his own neck and like going up his back, and it was the best tweet ever.
I just found it.
And Biden's response was like, "That's not very presidential of you," and I was just like, "That's not how you compete against Trump."
Hilarious.
Oh my god. Who is running Trump's Twitter?
Now.
Hey, whoever uploads
Himself.
this, put that tweet in the bio, in the description, so people can see it.
Okay.
So I'm going to
Hilarious.
play devil's advocate and talk about Biden for a second.
Okay.
As far
Sure.
as what I've heard from most people, he is a very overall good guy. So I actually have an elderly gentleman who is a good friend, who is kind of the same way.
Yeah, no.
He doesn't respect personal space, but he is one of the friendliest people that you'll meet. And I think it may be something along that lines, but no, Biden is creepy.
Yeah, I think Biden's too creepy.
Yeah.
But
I
if-
mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
tens of videos out there of him just
Tens of
like
A
videos.
lot.
caressing little girls on camera and going up and
it's
whispering
creepy.
things in their
It is.
ear.
Yeah, no.
It's just
And the
really
girls look so
disturbing to look
uncomfortable.
at.
Yeah,
If
I don't think you can as a party. I don't think they could even allow that.
if
Yeah.
Biden somehow wins the primary, I don't think he would, but if he somehow wins the primary, he's their best shot against Trump.
I
I-
doubt that he'll even run
Doubt it.
at this point.
Yeah.
But if he does run, I don't know if he'll win.
Oh, he would never win the primary, but I think
Really?
I think he's their best shot of beating Trump.
So,
Really.
like,
I think
I guess
they
I guess it
all-
would end up being Biden versus Sanders, right? If he
I
ran.
Yes.
think that's the end game. If Biden
Yeah.
runs, that's the end game.
As of I'm looking at polls as of let's see, this one was done. These are last week's polls, so this is before all that other stuff came out. But the latest poll has Biden at 33 and Sanders at 25.
Wow.
This was
Wow.
the very end of last month. This was the
But that was before all the
We're also
stuff came out.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
was actually
all
during.
that.
This was during all this other stuff.
Yeah,
Wow.
but it's expanded a lot since
Yes,
it
it
started.
has expanded a lot
Yeah.
in the last week.
So- I think that hurt his chances a lot.
It may go down.
Okay.
And
I
I think
think-
as a lot of the fake progressive candidates drop out, they'll give more and more of their votes to Biden. Or Sanders. So I think Sanders wins the.
I think honestly, Sanders, unless a miracle happens, I think Sanders, as of right now, wins the.
Again, I don't think he beats Trump, but
I
I wouldn't
think he
underestimate
beats Trump.
that.
I
Let's put
think
it, okay, let's put it this way. Biden is no longer running because all these polls have him. He's not running yet, but they all have him in here. So
Yeah.
where does that
Yeah.
percentage go to? Does it go to somebody like O'Rourke or Booker or Harris? Who does it go
Beto
to?
is a
Most
fairy.
likely Harris. If they're gonna try to give it to Harris because he's the favorite for the corporates so far.
Personally, I think a lot of it goes to O'Rourke.
No, I think that a lot of the progressives who drop out will give their votes to Sanders because Sanders has
No,
the
but
best
we're-
shot of beating.
No,
we're talking
Biden.
about people who
Progressive.
currently support Biden when he
Oh,
ends up
yeah.
not running.
Yeah,
I
no, I
think
think a lot of it
Progressives
will go to
have
O'Rourke.
it automatically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then we
I
have
say Harris because
it-
identity
it'll be-
politics.
it'll be
Identity
between
Sorry,
between
keep going.
Sanders and O'Rourke at that point.
I don't
really
disagree with
think-
that analysis.
Maybe Harris though. What's
Maybe
I say
Harris
and
because she's a
Bernie.
woman of color.
where's
identity
where's
politics.
Beto in the polling?
Beto right now is at 9.2% and Harris is at 9.8.
Okay.
So pretty
Yeah.
much some statistically insignificant difference.
Yes, very
Identity
significant,
politics is better than a normal white person to
but a
Democrat.
lot of the people that are supporting Biden would probably go to either one of them, so it would bring them both up.
I think
Very
we'd bring them
close to
pretty much
Sanders.
neck and neck
Mm-hmm.
with each
Yeah.
other. I don't know how close they'll bring them to Sanders, but I think Sanders will win at the end of the day and lose to Trump. So, y'all want to move on to Schultz?
Yeah, Schultz.
My thing about
Voters.
Schultz is he has no campaign team, really. He has no grassroots activists. He has no national infrastructure. He has no ballot petition signature going around. He has no staffers, really, that can handle that. He knows nothing about electoral laws. He's a loser. He's got nothing. Like, libertarians at least have statewide infrastructure to get the ballot petitions, to get the ballot access. They know how to get on ballots. Schultz probably doesn't know any of that shit. He's just campaigned because he has the money to and wants to. I hope he loses. He's a horrible choice. God rest his soul.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Let's think this way. Okay,
I'm not even religious, but he's about to be killed in debates if he ever gets on the debate stage.
let's think of this. Okay, so say Bernie Sanders gets the Democratic nomination, and as of right now, we know Trump is going to get the nomination. All right.
Yeah.
So say you've got somebody like Howard Schultz in there he's more Democratic, but he will pull some never Trumpers, and he will also pull a lot of.
It depends who the Libertarians nominate. Because if the Libertarians nominate Amash, I think Schultz is just dead in the.
I don't know.
Because I think I could see some moderate Democrats going to Amash because he's consistent and socially more libertarian. Well, a lot of conservative never Trumpers would go to him, obviously, because he's the most like them politically.
This, I think, 2020.
It depends on whether the Libertarian Party can put themselves out there.
Yes, I think, but I still think 2020 is going to be a very good year for third-party candidates.
No, it'll be the worst year, in my opinion. Really? If they don't. Here's the thing. I think Kim Ruff could do a very good job. Obviously, I wouldn't support her if not. I think Amash could do a pretty good job. But if they don't run one of those two, Trump's the incumbent, right?
Yeah.
Every Republican wants Trump to win because they don't want a Democrat. Every Democrat wants Trump to lose. There won't. If they don't run someone who's as unlikable as Hillary Clinton was, they'll. You know what I mean? It's not the right scenario.
Yeah.
It's hard to run against an incumbent. I want Kim to just lay the groundwork, make sure that states keep their ballot access, and send the message, and then gear up for a big 2024 run.
Okay.
It's going to be interesting no matter what.
It'll be interesting, but I think
Either way.
I think Trump wins it again. It's his race to lose, bar any special crazy shit.
Yeah. All right, so that seems to be all the candidates.
And I'm on
What are we
3%
at?
phone battery.
Yeah.
All right.
What are we at? With
So I think
time?
we'll end it here, right?
Yeah. All right, that was a lot of
Glad I
fun,
can
guys.
make it last minute.
All right, cool.
All right.